My mom told me not to talk to strangers on the internet, but I'm glad I didn't listen. We are the Certified Noonas, your sisters in the love of Asian entertainment.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
I'm Jessie.
I'm Natalia.
And I'm Sky.
And before we get into what we're actually doing today, we just want to make like a little statement about the whole Jisoo bullying thing. Nothing big. We're not going to go big into it, but very disappointed in him, and he will, we will no longer be featuring things with his involvement on the podcast. So
it will be recast out of all of our imaginary dramas that we've...
Yeah. So our new mascot is Kim Sul-gi. She's the best, and we love her. So here's to a new era, ladies.
No, I feel it was like important to say something, but not a lot, because we're obviously we were always joking about Jisoo. I don't think, at least I don't personally, like, he was fine. Was always a joke. But like, if he like just decided to not act like anymore one day, I wouldn't have ever cared. Like, so he was never like, I was never actually like a super fan of him, but it was like a fun joke to have when we started the podcast, and that's why we had this like mascot thing. But like, even then, we didn't keep up the joke very much.
We haven't talked about it much at all in the last few months.
No, we haven't.
And I would assume like if you were a little bit a bigger fan, or if like we had been like an actual fan account, that we should be talking more about it. But I think we've always discussed our kind of stance on these things. We've obviously had to deal with this from other people that we've like personally like liked a lot more than Jisoo. Doing these things, and I think it just, we don't have to talk a lot about it because he really technically was only just kind of like a small running joke in the bigger thing of our podcast, but it is worth mentioning, especially if you are not someone who follows news or like is on social media, and so like this might be your first hearings about the issue, because I think you really should be looking into it. I will say that like there's a trigger warning for bullying and sexual harassment and sexual assault, so don't go into the articles if that's going to be a trigger for you. But I just think it's important to know that we are not okay with anything that if he being true, it's not okay at all. And I do know that he's been pulled out of the
show and everything.
He had already like filmed 18 out of the 20 episodes or something like that. So they're very, very far ahead on this, and I personally haven't watched it, so I know he's the lead, but I don't know in what capacity. But I'm just like hoping that things work out for the like cast and crew that are being affected by this, and I just think it's a kind of terrible situation all around. But
anyway, that's all we really want to say about it, and we want to, keep it fun and light like we always do on this podcast. That's kind of our jam. So we're now going into what we're actually going to talk about this week, and that is everyone's favorite segment with the Noonas, what we are watching. But before we get into talking about what we're watching, we're trying a new thing, because usually it's what we're watching and what we're listening to, but this week we're splitting it up into 2 separate episodes. So this episode will be what we're watching, and there'll be another episode about what we are listening to later in the week
on Wednesday.
Coming out on
Wednesday. But this episode is definitely what we are watching. So what is everyone been up to? Who wants to start?
I can go. I wanted to start off with this. I started this C-drama called Swing to the Sky yesterday because I was just doing random stuff, and I had the TV or the computer on IQIYI, and what I was watching ended, but what I was doing wasn't over yet. So I was like, okay, just find something that's free that I can watch. Oh, okay, sports drama. Okay. About a diving team, and there's like a weird cohabitation thing. Like, I'm reading the description. Basically, quirky girl by chance marries the male lead's stepdad, and then joins his diving team. Hijinks ensue. I'm like, what? but diving team, so like maybe it's fine. And I go to my drama list and I didn't look at the tags. I just read the description, essentially the same description, right? Okay, cool. So it's about a diving team and it's about this girl and she works in like a pub as one of those like diving mermaids in an aquarium kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, cool. The opening credits have like a mermaid, but then you immediately see her. You're like, okay, got it, mermaid. She works as a mermaid, cool. And then diving team and stuff. Literally 5, maybe 10 minutes into this, she is kissing a boy and glows when she kisses him and then starts worrying about her dragon portal because she's really a mermaid. This is a mermaid drama. And nothing in any of the descriptors tells you this, but it's a mermaid show. And I'm like I went back to my drama list and there it is in the tags, mermaid and interspecies romance. I'm like,
this is why you've always got to read the tags, man.
And it's not like this is the big end of the first episode reveal. It's like literally 10 minutes in, maybe. Sort of mindless background material at this point. It's only 18 episodes and they're pretty short. So like, I'm not like signing up for 40. We'll see if I even remember to like pop IQ back on in the future. I was only on it because I started that Korean drama, How to Be 30. So, which is also short and has short episodes, almost too short, but
how short?
Like the episodes are like 15 to 20 minutes long,
Wow.
like web drama short, and there's only 15 episodes.
Wow.
They come out twice a week on like Tuesdays and Saturdays. So, but it's really cute and it's very cis-mancy. Like it's the main character. I mean, the first episode, you don't meet the guy until the very end. And it's mostly about her and her girlfriends. And these nice. 3 girls have turned 30 and, life is weird. They all have different situations and different jobs and different stuff going on. And I like it so far. And I mean, it's unlikely to drag with such short episodes.
Yeah.
So, hopefully it feels like everything's too short, but most of the time it feels like everything's too long. So it's kind of a nice change of pace, I guess. But basically it's a web drama. Like it's a high-end web drama. The production is good. The story is cute. The actors are all like people you recognize, but it's basically a web drama. So easy and accessible. It's one of the ones that's free on so far anyway. So far. You never know. Freaking IQ. Like they'll just pop something in and out. And
I just don't even try. I'm just like,
yeah,
no.
I've kind of given up mostly.
Yeah, they make it too difficult to know what you can watch and like what will remain watchable. Like it's get your stuff together. Get it together.
So for anyone that's confused about what we're saying about that, what happens or has happened sometimes with some titles is it looks like it's going to be available for anyone that doesn't even have a paid VIP membership on IQIYI. And you get however many episodes into this show, and they'll suddenly pop the VIP lock on some of them, or all of them, or not. And you
never know.
Yeah. So
and you never
there's
know
no warning or anything. It just kind of happens.
Yeah, it's not a setup system. It's literally just.
Who was it that was airing Manor of Death? That was WeTV, was it?
Yeah, they did that too.
They did it too. It was like
where Manor of Death. It was like it would the episode of the week would be available for paid subscribers, and then the next week the previous episode will become unlocked. But then about I'd say
it was episode 10.
Yeah, it was like 2 weeks before it was over. They just locked everything.
Well,
and we're like,
I guess I'm taking Manor of Death off of my watching.
And I had just started. I was like, okay, we're at episode 10. I'm gonna start, and I binged up to like 5, and I was like, okay, cool. These things are moving. Things are starting to roll. I'm liking it. And then went to go back in like 2 days later, and everything was locked. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like Lock
Make it
them
make
or
sense.
don't lock them, VIP or not, but stop the mind games. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and even the whole like for VIPs they get it a week earlier. That's fine. Like
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
as long as you're consistent, I'm
You could
I'm totally
honestly
down
like
with
every
that.
15 minutes throw in a bunch of commercials and I'd be like, well, I'm doing this for free.
for
But I
free.
think that like they're not someone's not telling that company or those companies that that stuff doesn't actually work in terms of like Asian dramas in international spaces. Because it's not like it's an incentive to buy, it's just an incentive to go elsewhere because that's an actual option. It's not like other products that it would be like, oh man, well now I have to because it's the only thing. It's not the only thing, and I'm sure they're like actually like losing a lot in terms of like ad money if they keep doing that.
Well,
too.
I mean, as soon as I complained about it in the group chat and I said they've locked everything, I had 2 different people leave links to 2 different locations that I could watch it if I
I'm not
wanted
saying
to,
it's a
right?
good thing. Like it,
No,
you know,
but
it should be
like-
legal, but like that's not like how this works. Like realistically, if you're
Yeah.
actually looking at things, that's not how it's going to work out for them.
And
No.
like, I
And-
look at like the Line TV app, which doesn't have any paid anything, but it has ads before. Like they cut up the episode into 4 chunks, and then you get an ad before each chunk, and that's how. Like, fine, and I'm fine with that. But like, I'm gonna be honest, Line TV, if you had like a little like, pay $5 a month so I don't have to watch ads,
As
I'm
an
okay
option.
with that. I'm okay with that, Live TV. I'm okay. I'm okay with that. You know.
Options. We like having options.
Yeah.
That's all we're saying. I finally started watching Wake Up Ladies 2, which I was so excited for, and then the pandemic hit, and then it, got postponed and stuff, and I didn't realize it had started yet. And I thought maybe it had, so I searched on YouTube, but all it kept bringing me was Wake Up Ladies. So I was like, oh, I guess it hasn't started yet. And then one day it was like, episode 10, and I was like, wait, there's only 10 episodes. Like, what do you mean? It's over? Okay. So, okay.
Wait.
So I started it, and the first episode was good. It was kind of a big 360 in a sense. Like, it starts out, I think you're at a funeral or something, and then it goes like 3 months earlier. So I don't know what's happening. But in the first season, the one character, her name's like A or Aoe or something. I can't remember exactly how it's pronounced, but she's a mess. Like, she's just, in the first season, just a total mess. She, like, one of her plot lines is, she's comedic relief, basically. One of her plot lines is she wants bigger boobs because that'll help her get a man. And it's just dumb. Like, the first season, I mostly fast forwarded to her. The first episode of the second season is entirely her story. And it's not ridiculous. It's just this nice story about how she gets a new job. She pisses off the new boss. She was a complete mess during the first season, totally boy crazy. And now she's like, episode 1, happily committed relationship with this woman that she met 6 sessions ago. So good for her. I'm happy for her. They had a very nice little moment, her with one of her friends. So, like, only 2 of the characters are in the first episode. So I'm looking forward to watching more and getting all those characters that I love from the first season back. Hopefully they're all back. I think they're all back for the second season. So I'm looking forward to that. I started watching a Taiwanese show called The Wonder Woman. I was really, really confused. I watched like 5 episodes and was super confused because you know how Taiwanese dramas have those like credits and title cards and stuff that happen like in the middle of the episode, like throughout the episode. And one of these title cards is like this black and white shot of the male and female leads with like fangs that are dripping with blood. And I was like, this is an office drama about like, why are they, what? And then it was like episode 4 or 5 before I realized, right, there's a shark motif running through. They're using sharks as like the lone wolf kind of thing. So like,
Metaphor, yes.
and so the fangs and the blood is a shark thing. It's not there. I was like, oh, okay, great. So I mean, it's not like they're in the aquarium every single freaking episode, because every time she gets upset, she goes to the aquarium. That's the last place she saw her dad. He left her and her parents, or her mom, for another woman who he got pregnant. She has a kid. He took her to the aquarium for her birthday, gave her this cute little shark necklace, and then the baby started crying. He ran off the baby, and like, they never came back. And she's never seen her dad since. He basically left her in the aquarium. And
What?
yeah, so, you know, she doesn't date and she doesn't want marriage because men are horrible. She helps run a women's company that's for women, that is an app that's geared towards women, no men. And then essentially her male counterpart like moves into the office with his male version of her business across the hallway, and
That's
hijinks.
a very classic
Yeah, so
Taiwanese setup there.
you've got the one office, and it's like a women's app where they host influencers and they sell stuff, right? And then the men's app is very similar. It's like a shopping app for men, and they have some influencers and stuff like that too. And there's like 5 or 6 women in the women's office and 5 or 6 men over in the men's office. And then in the women's office, they've got like this male tech dude keeping all the apps running. And I think in the men's office, it's a girl who does it. So,
Well,
you know,
you
like
gotta
everything is
contrast it.
opposite. Sometimes it's too goofy, but like most of the time it's just cute, moving. I like it.
I have a funny story. So on Twitter, Amanda posts things about some of the shows she watches, and so I would see her do a post, and I just assumed she was talking about like Wonder Woman, like the movie, or so. I mean, legitimately, I thought this for quite some time until we do a post on our group Twitter about what we're watching sometimes. And she picked that, and then she was like, the Taiwanese drama. I'm like, oh, that wasn't.
Yeah,
got it.
It's like, wow, she's been spending a lot of time watching them
I
Wonder
know. I
Woman
was like,
movies.
is she just going
oh,
through like
over
all
and
the
over.
Wonder Woman stuff? Like maybe it's because like now with all the different superhero shows and stuff, I was like, maybe I
There's a
missed
lot out
something. Like,
But yeah, I mean, speaking of superhero shows, I'm watching WandaVision with my kids, except for we didn't watch last week, so
I haven't seen last week.
I have everything like
Any of it.
muted because I'm like, I haven't seen it yet. My daughter was like, hey, just today, she goes, we didn't watch WandaVision last week. I'm like, I know. And she's like, isn't like the last episode tomorrow? And I'm like, it is. And she's like, are we gonna watch them? I'm like, yeah, we'll just watch them together. Like, it's not that big a deal. Like, they're half-hour episodes. I think we'll be okay. But I'm like, just stay away from like the internet tomorrow so that we don't get spoiled.
yeah.
So, you know,
It's a fun show.
it is.
I'm enjoying it as well. Me and my husband are watching it.
Oh, I started watching Princess Jellyfish.
I love that show. I love that manga,
so cute.
actually.
Like, it's not what I thought it was gonna be, but it's really cute, and I like it. And I kind of, yeah, I just dig it. It's unusual, but it's good.
It's very
And
sweet. It's very sweet.
Yeah, it is.
It's one of those shows that's very sweet and like good spirited. So that's like, so it's about oddballs, like all of these women who live in a house together, and they're all neets, which is like a Japanese term for people who are not employed, not in school, and just sort of living off their parents because they don't have a job or education. And all of them are like oddballs in different ways, but they're all like, no men are allowed in this house.
They call it a nunnery, like they.
Yeah. And then this beautiful woman, like, who helps her out at one point, and then ends up at the house, but then it turns out it's not a woman, it's a man in drag. And so she's now trying to hide from the other women that she brought a man into their like female sanctum. It's really quite sweet. Quite sweet.
Yeah.
It's actually one of my favorite mangas. So I've seen the animated version, I've seen the live action version, I've read all the manga.
I keep seeing the manga in the store, and I'm like, oh,
it's very sweet.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's my one complaint is that in one of sort of the side stories is that like there's this businesswoman who uses sex for business. She like seduces guys and then basically blackmails them into doing what she wants business wise because, you know, she's had sex with them or whatever. And usually they're married and the guy who dresses in drag, the show acts like she seduces the brother. She does not seduce the brother. She full on rapes the brother. She gets him drunk. He's passed out drunk. She throws him on a bed in a hotel room. Like, and the next day, it's like, aren't you happy you lost your virginity to me? And I'm like, no, that's assault, sweetie. Like, that's not okay. And they're really, so maybe it'll turn out that they didn't actually have sex. I don't know. But they're really pushing, like, right now, they're really pushing the narrative that, like, she's on a redemption arc. And you're like, no, thank you. I don't want redemption for people who rape other people. That's not okay. Like, if he just passed out and she just took, you know, fake pictures, you need to let me know that before I can get on your redemption train. That's all I'm saying. So
anyway, it's a very sweet show.
It is.
It's a cute story.
It really is. The leads, I love the girls together, like the weird girls from their house together, and yeah, and it's interesting just the concept of this guy who dresses as a woman and is in their lives as a girl, but is not, I mean, I don't know, he might be bi or something, but he's not like gay, he's not trans, he's a guy who wants to dress up as a woman because of stuff from his past and things, and he's falling in love with the female lead, and it's just, you don't usually see that. Like, it's usually if there's a guy dressing as a woman, it's because he wants to be a woman or because he's gay or because he's, you know, like there's not usually that kind of a nuance to a character in a drama. So it's interesting to watch. I'm still, you know, Sisyphus.
Yep.
You know, still wild and crazy. So, I started watching Can I Step In because I really, really like Beautiful, Beautiful by ONF. So I was like looking up stuff by them on YouTube, and they have a whole TV show, a whole cute little web series about them all living in a house together. And a girl comes and moves in to live with them.
Ah, the classic caper.
Hijinks ensue. So I'm enjoying it. It's cute. It's an idol web series. What is it going to be if not cute? Kind of what they exist for. So there's other stuff, but nothing real. Oh, well, 1,000 stars, but I'll leave that one for Natalia to talk about.
That's literally number one. That's literally number one. I list. I wrote everything down.
Yeah, I think. Oh, Hello Me. I started Hello Me too, which I like way more by the 3rd episode than I did in the first 2 episodes.
Good to know, because 'tis rough at the very beginning.
Yes.
That's what I've heard. I haven't started it yet.
'Tis rough.
Nope.
But I was really struggling with it, but again, it was one of those things like I had it on in the background while I was doing stuff, and it was like, okay, it's fine. And 3rd episode started playing, and it was like, okay. And then I don't know what happened, when it happened, but like it hooked me. I'm right in there now. It's kind of mellowed out a little bit. Like, it's not as hijinksy as it was in the first couple episodes and stuff, it's a little, she's not as sad sacky now. She's a little more with her younger self. So the story is, she is a like 30 something woman who has a crappy life. Like, her life is just pretty pathetic, and she gets fired from her not great to begin with job, and everything sucks, and her life just sucks. And I can't remember exactly what happens, but something like, she chases something out into the road, and she looks up and sees like a bus coming at her, and she just sort of thinks, yeah, okay, and just stands there to let the bus hit her. And then in a really nice use of this show's still doing the 2 episodes, right? Mm-hmm. So a nice use of that in that first episode is that the first half hour is her story now, and then you see her as a teenager, and you get her story as a teenager. And she was a completely different person. She was vibrant and excited about life, and she had goals and dreams, and she was going to be an idol, and she was just the most popular girl in school, and everybody loved her, and everybody would confess to her. And she was like, I do have a crush on somebody. It's me, because I'm awesome. And she's just sticks up for the little guys. She's like, just like, loves her parents, loves everybody, loves her. She's just great. And it's, how did this become this sad sack woman? And it's a little annoying in the beginning, and the teenage version is she's very self-centered and very in that sort of, not mean, but just that teenage way, that self-focused. She's just into herself and doesn't really see the way her actions affect other people at all. And so it's a little hard, but by the 3rd episode, the 2 of them have like kind of connected and started to really enjoy each other's company, and being in her younger self's presence is making the older version spark again. Like, she's remembering a little bit of who she used to be, and gaining confidence, and just making different choices about her life, which is kind of cool to see. It's kind of fun. And then the male lead, who in the first 2 episodes seems kind of redundant to me. Like, the first 2 episodes, I was like, why is he even here? Like, we've got lots of other story going on. We don't really need this.
And I love that actor.
Yeah, me too.
His role.
Like, it's rough. And I'm just like,
he had some bills to pay.
Yep.
Like, by the 3rd episode, again, you're seeing that there's a little more to him. He is goofy, and he is he's entitled. He is, but you know what? He's less. So by the 3rd episode, I mean, he gets himself a job. So it's just, I don't know. It's cute. It's very classic K-drama-y, right? Like, it's that very classic K-drama rom-com.
Leaning on the hijinks side of things, for sure.
Definitely more, I think, in the first 2 episodes. Like, it's a little less in the 3rd and 4th, but then close to the end of the last episode, I watched like something. I was like, oh, here we go again. But I don't know. It might not go there. So we'll see. It's not uncommon for K-dramas to kind of like do one thing for sort of the first 2 to 4 episodes, and then kind of like level out into a bit of a different vibe. So I'm kind of hoping we're just gonna have a nice office, you know, without too much office-y politic crap, although there's clearly tribal family stuff that.
Listen, as I always say, if there's not some sort of corporate intrigue, are we really watching a modern K-drama?
What's nice is that at this point, anyway, it does not seem like it's going to come from the brother. The brother, honest to gosh, seems like a really good dude. He just loves everybody, and so I'm really, really hoping this isn't like a two-faced thing, and they're gonna like break my heart with some like horrible brotherly politic nonsense, but for the moment, I adore the brother, and there's not nearly enough of him in it. He's played by the husband from Search WWW, the
of the CEO lady.
Yeah. So like the son
Director
of the
husband.
horrible woman. Yeah, like it's played by him, completely different character, but like I'd like to be seeing him more. I would enjoy it if he was in it more because I like him. So, and his character seems so far anyway like he's just going to be this good cheerleader dude in the background, just helping everybody get what they need. So, I'd like him to stay nice. So.
Yeah.
What are you watching, Jessie?
So actually a lot of stuff.
It's Jessie month.
It's
Yeah.
Jessie month. And you'll see a pattern. It's actually a really great month for me. First in like non-airing stuff, because most of my stuff is airing. I am trying to get through all of the seasons of Voice, because Voice 4 premieres comes out this year. It's like slated right now to be around April. That probably will change, but I'm trying to get through the 3 seasons of it before that happens. So I am working on the first season right now. If you've never seen it, it's a 2017 drama about a woman who is a emergency, like a 911 operator. And she is good at voice profiling, and she can figure out things through the calls that she gets. It's a crime drama, and it's supernatural, but actually not supernatural. In that everything that she does is supernatural, but not within the world of the show or the writing. They go into a little bit on like how it happened, but it's not like a supernatural
it's not a real thing.
gift.
They make up a scientific reason for why she's able to do what she can do.
And I will say that is the downfall severely of this show, is because it's a heavy, gritty crime drama. Like, you see a death within the first 10 minutes of it, and it's like crucial to the story, and like, you know, it's involving a serial killer and brutally attacking like women and that sort of thing. And the problem is that she's doing stuff, it's not like the level of like normal crime dramas where you have to, you know, account for things like, you obviously, like, the DNA results will come back faster than it ever would in real life, because it has to, because it's going to take months and that sort of thing. It's like 3 steps above that. Every time she is profiling, she's doing stuff so far advanced that literally there is not a single person in the world who could be doing these things. Like, that you literally have to use computers to do the things that she's doing. And so it throws you off. And that's like kind of a problem with it, because like everything else is like really great about it, but like she's just it's just abnormally like so far above like what you can like suspend your disbelief on, that it like keeps throwing me out. But like the rest of the drama is pretty good, and there's like tension between her and the main cop guy because of things I'm not going to talk about that they happen in the first episode. It's kind of a spoiler, but if you've ever watched Criminal Minds and you've ever thought that Dr. Reed seems a little abnormal, he's like just too good at his job, you will not like this drama. Because he seems like a poor, like just a normal human being, not a genius IQ person comparatively.
Wow. Hey.
They should have just like made it supernatural and moved on. That would have like really helped out things. I'm not saying it's bad. I don't think that people are doing poorly in it. If you've ever wanted an incentive in it and you really like Super Junior, Jaesung's in it, like, you've got some.
It also has a really interesting distinction of it was originally rated 15, and then halfway through the series, they changed the rating to 19 because they were kept getting fined for being too violent.
Oh, I'm like saying all this stuff, but it's not a cheesy show. It's
No, not
Yeah.
at all.
dark show. So if that's not your thing, don't try it. But it's all on Netflix right now. I don't know if I haven't seen if season 4 will be on Netflix, but they have all the rest of the seasons. So the only like non-Korean show that I'm watching is the J-drama, the Nishio Kubo Mitsuboshi Yoshodo. I actually did look up the English
3-Star
title.
Bar is one of the titles. So that's the one I go with is 3-Star Bar because I can say it.
And honestly, it's not very good, but it is only like 6 episodes, and they're like 20 minutes a piece, and only once a week. So that's really helping it. It's just a little like food drama about a guy who's basically inherited this bar, and the kind of basic thing. It's like a standard food drama. He makes specialty drinks for the people that come in. And then also the like special thing is that like all the food that's made is food like that's canned food. So they make gourmet stuff out of like the canned food stuff. So it's like essentially like showing you how you can take a canned food and make it into something like
better.
I know like there are some people that like it. I would say that like if you like this type of thing, Midnight Diner is definitely better, but like 20 minutes, 6 episodes,
cute
once a
and
week.
easy. Like it works for me. It's cute. It's simple. They solve everybody's life issues in 20 minutes, and you're like, okay. Cute.
If only we were that easy.
Yeah, well, yeah, and it's like one of those things that just there's like the 3 main cast, and then the rest is rotating. And as of now, there's no real tie to any of the other characters that have come in randomly off the street. But yeah, it's just a little slice of life thing. It's not harmful in any ways, but it's kind of one of those things. If it like poofed off the internet and I couldn't find it again, it would be like, oh, and then move on, you know? That sort of thing.
Right.
I'm also, like, now we're getting into the K-dramas that are airing, because that's all I'm watching, which is, like, bizarre. I've never been in this.
That is weird for you. That is weird.
Thanks, Korea, for making this the month that you, like, release all the dramas that I'm going to want to watch. So I
Happy birthday, Jessie.
I know, right?
Yay!
So I started Luca, the beginning. It's a TVN show. It has Kim Rae-won and Ida-hee, which is Ida-hee's why I like
That's
first
like
went for it.
Jessie Crack right there.
I know. I just love her. I love her. I want to like be her.
What's not to love?
I know, really. It's a sci-fi action thriller. It's not like thriller in like dark thriller, if you're worried about that. There are obviously deaths, but it's not like serial killer motivated deaths, you know, which I think a lot of people can handle better than serial killer stuff. And it's hard to describe and not like actually spoil things, but like essentially the main male lead has powers, and it's really hard to describe it because it's one of those things you have to watch. He has these powers. He's obviously tied to Ida-hee's character from their childhood, because that's a thing, always. Its basic premise is stemmed off of Darwinism, and the creation of everything was like a single, you know, organism, and it has that tied to it. There's like secret groups that are tied into it that are chasing him and trying to get him. He also kind of time jumps or something, portal jumps. I don't know. I haven't gotten far enough to reveal some of the like things too.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. Like
It's good. It's good.
And I'm not far into it because it was like the one show that I like started and then it just kept pushed back for other things, and I hadn't been watching stuff for a couple weeks. But I think it ends this week or next week.
Oh, shoot.
So it actually turns out to be a really good thing, because I think there's going to be parts of it that I'd want to watch more than 2 episodes of. So it's nice that it's doing it. It's only 12 episodes. So that's
Yeah,
cool.
to watch it.
Lee Da-hee, she kicks tail. She's so good.
Yeah, she's a police officer in the world. And so she works at or she's actually like a detective, I guess. Distinctions in their police rankings. But yeah, so she's like the not sci-fi element in it. I do know for a fact that there's will be stuff with animals later on, so if that's a thing that you don't want to see or watch, there's a potential of animal cruelty or animals doing stuff to other things. So, just as a warning. Sisyphus, I'm still intending to watch. I just haven't watched this week's, which the day that we're recording this is the second episode this week. So yesterday was one, today was one. I just haven't gotten around to it, but I intend to watch it. I started Vincenzo. I am all caught up with it. It's okay. This was definitely the one that I will for sure drop if I want to get rid of something, because it's definitely the least liked of everything. I will keep up Sisyphus's weird stuff before Vincenzo. The problem with Vincenzo is that while it has dark humor, most of the humor in the show is not dark humor, and that's a real big problem for me, because it's so little dark humor, and the dark humor is great for the purpose of the show, but most of it's not that, so it gets really hard because it actually kind of doesn't really work well when it's not in the dark humor realm for me. I just don't, besides the fact that I don't like the humor in general, it feels kind of just used. It's someone really wanted that joke to happen, so they made it happen no matter what, if it's gonna land or not type thing. But it's about a mafia guy who comes back to Korea, and he's essentially trying to save this building because of reasons. And so there's a potential for a found family unit. Right now, the found family unit is strictly for comedy, so there's no endearing qualities to them yet, except for one part, but I'm not going to talk about that part. So that's a potential to do something, because it's all a ragtag group of people who have random shops and stuff. There's a tailor, there's a restaurant owner, that sort of thing, that is all in this building. I really want to love it because of tech, but because that's the only reason I started it, because if you hadn't noticed, I'm a hottest and I love 2 p.m, so I was gonna at least give it a go.
No.
I know, crazy talk. I'm not listening to 2 p.m in my headphones right now. What are you talking about? If you've seen the first 4 episodes, if you take the first 10-15 minutes of the first episode and the last part of episode 3 and the beginning into episode 4, if the show was just that, it would be phenomenal, so good, but it's not all that. So that's where my
I'm really enjoying
lie.
Vincenzo myself. I'm really enjoying it. So it's one of those shows that I think it would be very polarizing for people.
Seems like it on the timeline. Some people are really, really loving it, and other people are really disappointed. And then there's some other people that are kind of whiplashing back and forth. Wait, what am I?
I will say, it never, it's doing what it said it would do, because technically, although every place has been labeling it, the actual press release was that it was a dramedy and not a black comedy. So having not the black comedy, and most of it is they didn't promise that, but they've always promised comedy. I've talked about it multiple times, and so I think that's the problem. People just chose to ignore that and are surprised, because it does have a mafia thing. I would say, I have never watched an Italian drama, so I have no clue how their episodes, their way that they do the standard drama. But it is what I would consider this close to, just per what I've encountered. It would be a telenovela It's got that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
like there are parts where it's like over the top. When it does the mafia stuff, it's got a really good mafia drama vibe to it.
Mhm.
It's interesting.
And he's surprisingly good at doing his Italian lines.
Oh yeah.
I was actually very impressed.
You figure this out in the very beginning. He's basically like adopted into an Italian family. So he comes back to Korea, but he's like largely just Italian. And his name is Vincenzo. It's like, so I can't say it.
No one can say it properly. Yeah.
Casanova.
I want to talk about one thing that is a spoiler. If you don't want to listen, I'll put the time codes in like stuff, and then if anybody like on this podcast doesn't want to listen, like take off your headphones. So
okay.
When this first came out, like that they were announcing like the lineup for the cast way back last year, I obviously knew about it because of tech. Like I followed it a little bit more. At the time I was like still like, yeah, mafia, comedy, not my things. Like really, like I don't like when crime is like associated to business deals. Like that's boring to me. So I was like, okay, could be fine, but like also the comedy probably won't like it. So it came out, and then there was this one article that was translated, and it basically just like blew up, and like all the hottest started freaking out because it said in the character description, so like before, like, you know, souping all them, we're like mafia dramedy about this and this, starring this, this, and this, and like Tech's character was labeled as the intern at the law office. But this one article that seemed to be from a very credible source was translated, and it was like, and Tech's character is going to be a mafia, like he wants to be a drug overlord. He's the villain of the show, which it created such a crazy timeline for me for like a good like 3 days, because half of the timeline was like, yes, villain Tech, awesome. And I was like, yeah, this is awesome. And I was like, really, I was centered into like the villain side of this like whole thing. And then the other half was not happy that their precious Oppa was going to be a bad guy, and thought for some reason that like when you act in a show, it's who you are in real life or something. I don't know. And then I don't know if it's like because there was like someone was like, oh, like in the production company was like, oh, someone just blew our like actual thing, because it's revealed in end of episode 4 that this is a thing. Like you don't know he's that until the end of episode 4. I guess like someone had like figured out that like this was like a big thing, that like one place had like spilled the beans on us stuff. And then I guess maybe one like article like was like, you know, no, he's just like the lawyer kid from, you know, the intern. And then so that became a clear the searches for Tech being a villain.
Oh
like,
my gosh.
Insane. And we're like, I repeat, he is not the villain. He is not. And I was like,
surprise!
Okay, like, but even if he's not, I'm like, oh, and it's cool. Like, either way, it's not a bad thing if he's the villain. But yeah, surprise.
So
you tried
weird.
really hard, but guess what? He ended up the villain in the end, and it's gonna be a cool role. So that's what I'm hoping that Vincenzo,
That's nice for him.
kind of does things. That ending scene, I'm losing my
was
voice.
really good. It was
Ending
really good.
scene for episode 4 is just so good, between the like reveal of Tech's character and Sung Joong Ki's like what he did for that, like that whole scene. It was just so good, and it was such like a Italian mafia drama.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like very operatic, and like just the tension kind of builds like an opera, and like it. There's some really great parts in this show that I'm like, okay, maybe I'll stick on it. Maybe I'll like cut out the comedy, which does happen a lot in dramas. They usually are like, we were forced to do the comedy, so we fill it up in the beginning and then kind of forget about it towards the end.
Yeah.
I had to laugh when I did see one person on the timeline was like, I'm starting Vincenzo. I'm laughing. why am I laughing? Should I be laughing this much? I don't think this is meant to be funny. And I was like, okay, but
Yes,
it's the
yes,
writer
it
of Fiery
is.
Priest and Chief Kim. Like,
Yeah.
what did you think you were going to get here?
It's never not been labeled as a comedy. This
I
is
know.
like what's
Yeah.
driving me insane. And like also, I see that happen, and it's people who follow me, and I'm like, thanks, hey, I just learned that you don't actually read my tweets. What are you doing following me then? Like, because I've talked about it. It was like one of the things that I was like, I don't know about this drama if I'm gonna
Mhm.
like it because of this.
Oy
You
vey.
can't get mad at something because you failed to do like that one thing. Like figure out in the tags it's been listed as a comedy. It's even been listed
Yeah.
as a rom-com.
Well, of course it is, because Song Joong Ki's in it, so it must be a rom-com.
I think the biggest problem I have is that a lot of the like nonsensical humor that's not dark comedy is strictly given to the main female lead, and that's sad. She gets to be the weird character, you know?
Yeah.
She doesn't get to be like cool, like, and she's supposed to because she's like a lawyer, so like, and she's like at a top firm, and she could have really good things, but it's just like a lot of it's centered on her. And even this like kind of the secondary female lead character, who's another person at the law firm, has a lot of that but she actually gets to do some of the dark comedy bits too.
Like, that was an aspect of Hyena that I really appreciated, because like the female lead character, she would have moments where they would definitely have her do comedic things, but then within the same episode later on, like, she would get to do something really cool and really competent, like, you know, to where you saw that she was just great at what she did. So I mean, it balanced out better. So even when there would be a really silly scene or something, you could kind of handle it more, because you would know that, oh, she was just cool a moment ago. So
yeah. So it's like right now it's okay. I mean, at any point I could drop it. So sorry in advance if you really loved Vincenzo and I drop it like halfway through. It is a 20 episoder, so that's a little hard to think of.
Yeah.
But it's on
And,
Netflix.
like,
so
things aren't for everyone, so
that's true. Yeah, like,
you might
and
love it and someone
yeah,
else doesn't. That's okay.
I really think like you need to actually watch this. Like, you can't just like really base it on what I'm saying, because like, God, end of episode 3, beginning of episode 4 is so good. I can't even describe to you how good it is, because I'll spoil like big things, and you have to actually witness it happening. It just, I really like that part.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
Yeah. I am also watching Beyond Evil. I just started it because I had pushed it off a little bit, but they're only like on episode 4, so it's not like I'm super far behind. It is one of the top dramas I'm watching this whole thing. It's there's a serial killer that like struck 20 years, in the past, in a small kind of province outside of, Seoul or wherever. And what's his name? Yo Jin-goo's character is kind of a younger police officer guy that comes in from Seoul to help out with the police department. You kind of find out why he's really there as the story progresses. There was this show on like HBO or Showtime called True Detective. It has that feel to it. It's not like that in the sense of like how that's set up. Just the feel of this show has a True Detective vibe to it. So it's the one that had Matthew McConaughey in it. That like helps figure it out. But yeah, so I'm just, it's really good. Things are happening. You don't know like if there are secrets that are going to be unveiled and stuff. And it's a darker show. And then the last drama that I'm watching, I just started. I haven't watched the second episode because right before we came on, it was only at like 60% Vicky.
Oh,
Very upset.
A classic caper.
But that
Jessie will sick a serial killer towards you, for real.
Yeah.
I want to, and like maybe the serial killer's in this, and that is Mouse, and it's phenomenal. It is like the second favorite of this round. Like Beyond Evil and Mouse are my top dramas. Like, I'd give up all the other dramas for these two things, you know? Oh, God, so good. The first episode was an hour and a half long, almost, hour and 25.
Oh,
And I was
boy.
like, oh, no. And I had heard stuff about it because they had a press conference that it was going to be 19 plus. And it was, like, specifically for that episode. Because it was gonna be like really dark and hard and stuff, and I was like, interested, very interesting. And, oh boy, did it ever like produce everything. Isung-gi's in this show, but he isn't in it yet, per what I've watched. It was all like in the past, because the central storyline is about existence of basically the serial killer gene, which if you're into true crime, this is actually like a studied thing, and it's an actual thing that's like keeps on being brought up, and it's like basically a gene that you can detect who's going to be a psychopath. And the story kind of bases on this one guy in the past who was he was kind of a lead researchers on it, and he was diving into studies and possibly doing stuff where you could go test your baby before it's born, and if you find out that they could be a serial killer, there would be an option to abort the kid. And like the issues and like the government and stuff, it lies solely in the psyche of like being a serial killer and how serial killers are formed, even when it's not because of their family structure. It's literally just that they are born into it. And the first episode is very hard to watch. Do not watch it if you're not into like murder. Like just go.
Good to know.
And it's
not
kids,
a murder fan. Don't watch.
and it's kids, so don't watch it.
I'm out.
It was like super. I mean, like I thought I was gonna have a hard time to like watching, because I was watching it late at night after like all this debacle about like the light sticks for Dreamcatcher. And like
you watched it after that? Oh my god.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be like able to watch this. Like it's like, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. What am I doing? And I was like watching for a while, and I was like, I wonder how far I'm in. And I was already 40 minutes in, and I was like, I thought I had only been watching for 15 minutes. So this is really good. Nice. I can't even describe it past that, like, especially because it's just like the setup of the like what's going on, and its focus on psychopaths and serial killers, because it's like at this point not like it's not a serial, like a actual legitimate serial killer that you're following. It's just the
it sounds really fascinating.
It's so funny because the very, very first part of it is like dead on, like the first part of the first episode of Criminal Minds. It's so funny. I was watching, I was like, oh my god, this is exactly like it. And it's the reason I like Criminal Minds. But like, I mean, like literally the guy who is like the lead scientist he's a professor, and he's teaching all these kids about psychopaths, and it's like they're all English speakers, the students in there, but he's like, talking about like different serial killers, and everybody's like hyped on it. They want to like continue the story, but he has to end the class, and he gets a call to come in to talk to like, the government or, police officers about things. He gets called in, and literally the first episode of Criminal Minds is Gideon talking to people about this one story of like this serial killer and all like the stuff that like happened with him, and Reed coming in and saying, you gotta come. Like he gets the call. I'm like, it was very funny, and I was like, I'm into this. Like,
you're like, uh-oh, it's got me.
It got me hard. It was good.
Good to know that it's really, really dark.
You should just like know by now. Like,
if Jesse's enjoying it,
if I'm really enjoying it, you should just know. You're like, nah,
Wait
good.
Wait a second.
The thing is, I get tempted to test my limits periodically.
I don't think you should watch Mouse.
Okay.
I mean, like really seriously, like Mouse. I mean, like it was. Like a horror film, like type. It was, I mean, you don't see a lot, but like the way everything it is, and what happens. It was really set up to be like they were really trying to make you know about the like horrors of that kind of mind and what happens, and it just keeps building, and it's an hour and a half of it. Yeah, I would definitely not like suggest like watching it if you like are into
Can't handle that sort of thing.
But like Mouse is on Vicky, as I said. I don't think, did I say anything else? Luca was on Vicky too, so that's it. That's all I'm watching. All my murder shows.
Murder shows.
So I guess it's me now, huh? Okay, so the first I even made a list this week, guys. I tried to be organized so that I would stay on task. So the first show that I am watching is 1,000 Stars, which is a Thai show. It's on YouTube. You can watch it for free. It is so good.
So good.
So the basic plot is that there's this girl who is like a volunteer teacher in like this very remote village right near the border of like northern Thailand. And she is going to visit her aunt, who's kind of a piece of work, and she gets hit by a car and dies. Meanwhile, there's this sort of like rich kid, douchey guy who needs a heart transplant. And he gets her heart in his heart transplant. And this is all in the first episode. I'm not spoiling.
It's the whole premise of the show.
Yeah, this is like the first 10 minutes. I'm not spoiling anything. It all happens very quickly to get to the real story. So then he becomes like really intrigued about like, you know, who gave me, like, I want to find out whose heart this is. And so he finds out about her and then decides to go take her job. So he's going to be the volunteer teacher in this village, where there's a very good looking forest ranger who sort of is like running the show around there. But it's so bizarrely heartwarming. Oh God, that was a pun. Did not mean that. It makes you feel good. But it's just very sweet. The characters are really likable. The plots are bizarrely like realistic, like the stuff that happens to people. So it's not like she feels her emotions and all, like, no, like it's not like this, you know, supernatural thing at all. It's just like he just really wants to know like who this person was and like who her life
there's
was like.
kind of a level of like he reads her diary and it's like, this was a really good person and I'm really not a very good person. And like, what have I been wasting my life with? She was living in a village helping people and she doesn't get to live. I'm living now and I'm a piece of work. So maybe I should like step up my game and like do right by this heart kind of thing.
It's very sweet. It's not hard to watch. Like there's nothing objectionable or anything in it. So it's like really, it's nice. Another one that just started, so I've only seen the first episode.
Where is the 1,000 Stars? No, where is it located?
It's on YouTube. It's on
YouTube. Okay.
YouTube. Yeah, YouTube. So there's another one also on YouTube. It's called Lovely Writer. This is a more traditional like Thai BL, but like it's very self-aware. So it's about this author who wants to write science fiction novels, but to make some money wrote like a BL novel that then became popular. So his editor's like, you gotta write like more BL novels now that like you're popular because your book is getting made into a show. And so he then goes like, he's sort of conned into, despite the fact he wants nothing to do with this book and just wants to write his sci-fi novels, he gets conned into going to like the auditions for the show that's being made of his like, you know, BL novel that he sort of distanced himself from. And everyone's like, what, you're a man? Like, usually the writers are women. Like, this is like, this is interesting. And then there's a very good-looking, talented actor who turns out his manager was this writer's friend back in the day. And so the manager's like, I need to put, find a place for my artist to stay. Can he live at your place for just a month? So it's doing the little like, and they were roommates, like, whoa. But it's like very self-aware of that's what it's doing. So it's like the writer will be like writing this like, boys love novel, and then he'll be like, he shoved him against the wall, and then he'll be like, no, that's sexual assault. Like, that is inappropriate. I can't write this. Like, So it's like, it's really good. The only problem with it is that the main character, the main writer, is really the only likable person in the show so far. And he's just like so good, and everyone around him is so garbage that you're just like, ooh, I hope they really pull this around. Because it's getting...
You're gonna have to work for it, hey?
I'm also watching a Chinese fantasy drama called Word of Honor, which is very confusing. There's like 5 billion characters, and every episode you think you are like, okay, they're just gonna focus on the main... No, you gotta introduce like 20 more characters that are all related to like the main MacGuffin of this story, and you're like, okay, but it's actually like really entertaining. Like, I'm not like, the plot is so complicated that I can't even, like all these Chinese fantasy dramas are. The plot is so complicated that I like can't even understand half of it. I'm just like, oh, but this is like really beautifully filmed. Like, sword fight a little bit more, fellas. Like, this is great. I suspect it will get canceled because they are definitely skirting censorship rules.
Oh.
Pretty not that sneakily, like, because of course with all of these like Chinese novels, like they're based on Chinese novels that are very gay, and then they decide to make them TV shows where China doesn't allow gay content on television. So it's just like, why do you keep doing this? But anyway, I didn't even, like, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even know when I started watching that it was actually like another boys love story. I was just like, ooh, pretty. And then I was like, oh no, I've been hoodwinked again. Got me again.
I think the writer is the same writer from Guardian.
Yes,
right?
Priest.
So, which was also fun. So
yeah, it was a fun show. I've also watched 2. I know it's gonna sound like I'm such a fujoshi, and I swear I'm really not. Like, this is just so happens that this is what has been on that has been really good. I watched this web drama. It's on Viki, and it's called To My Star. And I don't get emotional when I watch TV that often. Like, I really don't. Like, I'm just like, yeah, okay, cool. There was something about this show that like genuinely touched me. Like, I was watching it and I was like sitting there like moist-eyed, and my husband's like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't know, like, there's something just like really nice about this show.
it was a nice
It's a nice show. So it's basically about an actor who gets into like a scandal where someone thinks that he like beat up his friend. Topical. But so then his manager puts him up at his like this place that he rents out where a chef lives, and they were roommates, but like it's not funny, like it's really sweet, and I don't know, there was just something about it that like really touched me on an emotional level, because it's a very kind-hearted show. Like, it's just a very kind-hearted show, and it's very short. And I'm also watching You Make Me Dance, which is also on Viki, about a dancer who's in debt and the debt collector who has to get the money.
I feel like one of these is on Netflix. I might be dreaming that, but I feel like I saw one of those.
Well, I watched them both
recently.
on Viki. So
a bunch of the Viki ones, or a couple of the Viki ones have, once they've been completed, they get put into like movie format and put over onto Netflix. So To My Star might have.
I think it was To My Star. I saw it pop up there because I
feels
saw it on. I saw
like
it over on Viki.
I
and
see
then...
the font. Like,
Yeah, it might be over there already. So
it's very heartwarming. I have to like.
And it's nice that's one of those ones that, it's like, it's labeled as a boy love, but like
It's not.
it is it's just gay. Like they're both gay. Like they're just gay, and they're just like,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
gay,
not-
you're gay. I've dated lots before. I haven't really. Like it's just
Yeah,
two
it's-
guys who are roommates who fall in love.
But
Like it's not
it's
like
just
I'm
very
only
nice.
gay for you. Like
I
it's,
hate that. That's like the worst trope in history, and it needs to end. Which is nice about 1,000 Stars because it also doesn't do that.
Yeah,
So,
they're also in
they're
1,000
learning.
Stars. They're just
They're
gay.
learning.
He's not in love because he's got a girl's heart now. Like
no,
No.
it's
cut it out.
I'm also watching Sisyphus and Vincenzo, as we already talked about. I'm finally finishing up Busted. I finished the show Run On, which was excellent. Really loved it. That's on. They're all on Netflix. And I also been.
Did you like Busted? You just like roomed
No,
right
well,
on
I'm not-
past.
Well, because you talked about it a lot last month, so I didn't want to like bring it up again. But yes, loved it.
But did you
So
like
good. Yes, loving it. I have like 2 episodes.
I
Love
haven't
it.
gotten to watch it yet.
I've been waiting for someone to watch the whole thing.
I'm almost there.
Listen, I'm in Murderland right now. Comedy
It's fine. It's fine.
Busted
Vincenzo's
is
it
usually
on
kind of
comedy.
murdery, isn't it? Pretend murder.
There's pretend murders. And sometimes, like you're having a bit of a bad week, and then you just want to watch something that you've already seen that like makes you really happy, right? So I've been rewatching this little anime, which is now on Netflix, called Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun. It's one of my favorite animes. Where the basic plot is this girl has it's based in high school, but it's not like a high school anime. There's a girl and she has a crush on like the mysterious, quiet, tall, brooding guy that she's like, ooh, like he's so hot. So she goes up to him, she goes, oh, I'm your fan, like I'm your biggest fan. And he's like, oh, thank you, and then like signs an autograph for her. And then she's like, what? Because it turns out that unbeknownst to her, he's actually quite a famous mangaka or like manga artist who writes these like very girly, romantic, like shoujo mangas. And so she then gets roped into being his assistant. And all the while she's just trying to like tell him that she's in love with him, but he is very stupid. So it never quite works out the way, like it's like one of those where it's like, oh, you think he's gonna get it, and then he's like, oh, thank you for helping me like work out this problem I was having with the story. And it's so dumb and it's so silly and it's so low stress that it's just
Nice.
I have also been, I will admit, cheating on Asian entertainment quite a bit because there have been quite a few new Netflix murder documentaries that I have been enjoying. Literally in the last 2 weeks alone, I have watched 5 of them. So I watched last night, I think I was telling you guys about it, I watched Murder Among the Mormons. That took me on a twist. That took me on a wild ride, that one. Night Stalker, which was really good. The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel, which I think was one of the nicest, most factual depictions of that particular crime, if you know what one I'm talking about. I watched An American Murder. It was okay. And then I watched The Pharmacist, which was hella good. Do recommend. It's about the opioid crisis. Fantastic. Fantastic. And then I just watch a lot of Minecraft videos.
Yep.
I'm really obsessed with this one particular server called Hermitcraft. I'm like, there's like 20 people on it, and I am very slowly working my way through each and every member of the server's videos, and they're all shenanigans, and there's something for everyone if you like Minecraft. And then I watch Evan and Caitlin's raft videos.
Oh, I love Evelyn and Caitlin.
I know, they're so
I don't
cute.
watch their like video game stuff. They're
Yeah. I didn't before, but I've started to.
do it yourself type people. But...
Yeah, they're like makers, so they make really fun like DIY videos, mostly about resin. They're really obsessed with resin.
Yeah, like if you've ever seen a resin video, it's probably them.
Yeah.
They do a lot with 3D printers and that sort of thing.
Yeah, 3D printers and like CNC machines. But they also have like this gaming channel. I started watching because I'm on a Minecraft kick. I'm obsessed. And they had like a Minecraft series, but then they also had Raft, and I want to play Raft so bad.
Raft looks like fun. There are a couple of the OTV people that did Raft. And that was the only hardest part about that was because they started it. The Raft is not completed. The game is not completed.
It's like,
and when OTV started it, it wasn't even at where it is now. So it was like they did stuff, and then a couple weeks later, they finally got to do like a little bit more into the journey, and then it was like we're here for
the first time I encountered Raft. There's a YouTuber called Gray Still Plays, and he was playing the demo of it before it had like any story elements. Like, it was a completely different game. So I've heard of been like obsessed, but Raft is only available for PC. But luckily, Matthew just got a new computer, and it is a gaming laptop PC. And so I might be able to finally play those PC games that have been denied to me by Steam and them not being available. But yeah, that's literally all, she says, after naming like 50 different things that she's been watching. Classic Natalia caper. So, Sky, what have you been watching?
For some reason this past month I really haven't been watching all that much. The little I've watched has usually been like the first or second episodes of some. I don't get very far with things for some reason. I've just been kind of busy with life things in general. So, I mean, we already talked about a lot of stuff. I will say for Hello Me, for me, I'm trying to remember. I don't remember if I watched the second episode or not. I definitely remember the first episode. I think I just really struggle with it's going to make it sound like I only like super optimistic, like female lead characters. That's totally not true. Like, and it's fine if people have struggles. Like, there's plenty of dramas that I've really enjoyed that. I think I struggle with sticking with dramas that kind of, it feels like they keep kicking a female character when they're down.
Yeah.
And then if I see that, like, in another female character in the same, like, if it keeps female characters getting bullied is kind of strong, but kind of. It's kind of like if they keep getting pushed around too much or just walked all over. And then it's kind of a hijinksy show, too. Like, I just... It's hard for me. Some shows I think then like push past it pretty well. I've heard some shows I've dropped because of that. Like, it sounds like they, you know, recover from it later on a little bit, but it's not like this huge trigger or anything for me. It's just, it's hard for me to stick with those shows.
You don't like it. You don't like it. It's mean-spirited. I get it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, especially if it's like a lot. And especially when a lot of the times it's not rooted in actual, like, wanting the character to be that way, but, like, misogyny and patriarchy. Like, yes, it gets it gets hard.
It is. Having watched a few more episodes, it definitely, she's coming out of her shell and she's becoming more the person she was in high school. Like, she's not there. Obviously, you don't like skip over 20 years of trauma and like become a ball of sunshine one day, but something about being in the presence of her younger self is she's unfolding, and it's so that I think that might have been my problem with it too. Like, it was just too, I don't want to watch somebody get kicked around for 16 episodes. It's not fun. So the fact that it doesn't feel like she's getting kicked so much anymore. So
well, and I know a lot of shows recover from it, but I kind of also always keep it in my mind with that character too. Like once I've seen that,
Mhm.
and maybe it's because it is a personal thing for me. Like I have aspects of my personality that sometimes I am a doormat. So like when I see a
Mhm.
character get kicked around for being too accommodating or things like that is maybe a personal thing for me. So I don't know. I mean, so I don't know if I'll ever pick it up again. It really might be a drop. I'm trying to be better about being more true with if I'm not jiving.
Mhm.
If you're not jiving, you should at least put it down for now.
It's
And if you revisit it, you
entertainment.
revisit it later.
Like
Right.
if you're not
And that's-
entertained,
If I feel icky, maybe don't go
Yeah.
back to it.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You've got so much, like, there's just so
there's-
many options. There's
Yeah,
so
there's
many
so much out
options.
there.
much.
There's
That
so
it's
much out
okay.
there that even
Ugh.
if, like, you know, even if you're on Twitter and everyone's like, oh, this is the best show ever, I love it, it's so good. If you don't like it, don't watch it.
Yeah.
It's fine. Who cares?
Well, I was watching that C-drama Sweet Combat, and it was fine. Like, it wasn't great, but it was fine.
Mhm.
But it's like 37 episodes, and I'm on like 28, and it's boring now, and it's like it's boring, and they're
Yeah.
making stuff up to like make life difficult for the leads that they
Yeah.
don't need to do, because they've got three couples. They could be working on the other two couples and just let these two be happy in the background. But no, we gotta like throw crap in.
That would be
No.
too easy. Okay.
And then
Like,
and now they're adding in like, I don't know, maybe a murder mystery, and like I'm just like, I don't care. I just don't care.
you're like, why are you this way?
I don't know why there's going to be
Fine.
10 more episodes, because it's very clear what the mystery is, how things happened. Like, you know all the truth already. It's just going to be, we're going to wait for them to find it out, and it's going to break them up. Of course it's going to break them up, and then the truth will come out, and then and I'm like, I can see it all coming, so I'm like, I'm just
If it
calling
doesn't
it done.
break them up,
Like,
then like, how can they have the noble idiocy and like, you know, one of them leave for a year and apparently be allergic to email, texting, phone.
For me, Hello Me, we'll see if I ever pick it up again. Might not.
Yeah.
But it's good to know that it at least changes some. Like,
Mhm.
that's good to know, because it really felt like, oh dear Lord, if this stays like it was tough going.
it was.
I saw some people recommending that they got way hooked on I think it's a C-drama, Celestial Authority Academy,
Oh.
which it pretty much looked like, and I'm gonna say this wrong, it's that Park Min Young Seguk where
The scandal.
the scandal one, the
Yeah.
Sun Kung Kwan
Sun Kwan.
scandal,
Mhm.
Mhm.
because pretty much there's a girl character and she's a romance writer, it looks like. So it was even kind of like Rookie Historian a little bit. I was like, okay, I gotta try this. So
You're like, I'll give it a try. I'll check it out.
because there was the cross-dressing thing, like she ends up at the academy.
The classic caper.
But I mean, the first episode was like, what, 20 minutes? Felt like way longer than that. I really don't think I'll
no.
probably continue. I'm not sure. And again, it might be a headspace thing for me to where I'm just like,
Yeah.
not right now. It was too silly. Like, I think I've just been I can't handle too silly right now for some reason. So, but what was funny about it was, so, there's the lead girl who's cross-dressing like
Mhm.
just a scholar or whatever they call them. And then you pretty much have the four princes of the academy. So it felt like the F4, but like with
Costumes.
costumes, and they were kind of all doofy for various reasons, it was, but they don't go really far with any of it because it was just 20 minutes. So, I mean,
Mhm.
You can only do so much.
Yep.
I might give it one more episode, but we'll see. But that's why I was interested in it, because like the topic was like, that seems fun, because I tend to like those dramas for whatever
Mhm.
reason.
Hey, you like what you like. No need
Yeah.
to.
Yep.
There's not whatever reason. It's just you like them.
Everyone talked about, like, Sisyphus. I haven't continued past what we discussed for the last podcast episode yet. I will. I'm interested in it. I just haven't gotten to it. Vincenzo, I think I only watched episode 1, so I enjoyed Fiery Priest, but I never like continued with it past a point. It's one of those things I need to go back to. It's mood dependent if I can handle that type of comedy or not. And again, I haven't really been in the headspace for that. So, but I enjoyed it. I liked the mafia parts. I also like fighting, so that type of stuff.
Vincenzo does have some pretty good, like,
the actiony type parts are like solid.
Yeah, like the fight choreography is impressive. Like, there's, you know, this isn't really that much of a spoiler, but there's like this one scene where he uses like Taylor's tape to dangle this dude off of a balcony, and that
was episode 1.
Yeah, that was episode 1. It is such a good like bit of fight choreography that I was like, whoa,
and it felt effortless. It didn't feel like forced. It made sense.
Yeah.
Luca, I feel like I've watched a couple of episodes and I'm really interested, but it might be too dark for me ultimately. But I enjoyed what I saw. It might be one of those like, well, I liked that part. I don't know. Maybe I've just been in a weird headspace. The 3-Star Bar I saw the first episode of. I enjoyed it, but I just haven't returned to the other 2 yet. Go Squid 2.
Oh god, I didn't even. Yeah.
I watched the first episode of.
Yeah.
I will continue sometime. I am sure, like, because I like that type of thing. Again, just wasn't in the headspace for it, but. They seemed fine. It was cute. I knew it was obvious episode 2 was going to take like this dramatic turn. I was like, got to be ready for that when I pick this back up. Noted.
I watched the first couple episodes and I too was like, I can't with this right now. Like, you know, sometimes you're like, I just can't with this right now. You know, like, yeah.
Was that the one that they changed? Is the actress changed for it? Okay.
So, of course, I won't be able to rattle off the actress names, but with Go Squid 1, that character had already, you know, had an actress, and she was very good at her role. Now, Natalia, did you read like all of the stories for this? I didn't.
I read the. Wait, you mean stories as in like news articles, or stories as in the actual novels? Okay, I read the novel for Go Squid, just the original. Okay. I didn't read any past.
I didn't know if you read, you know, this one. I didn't read them, so I really don't know how much the original novel focuses on the fact that she's older than the person she gets coupled with.
But it doesn't seem like she's that much older than him. Like,
so Go Squid 1, it's not like there was a ginormous age gap to begin with. Whatever, it looked fine. And this is gonna focus on them. I think what everyone says anyway is they thought that she looked too old or whatever, so they recast it. And sure enough, she does not look older than him whatsoever.
No.
And she definitely, because her character is supposed to have, you know, been around the block a bit with all this gaming world stuff. And she definitely looks way too young to have done that.
Been in the industry for so long.
But, you know, this new actress is good too. There's nothing wrong with the actress.
She's fine.
It's just weird when you're watching a sequel and you're expecting one thing and you get something else. It's always a little like, oh.
Well, and I even knew going in that like this occurred. You know, like a lot of the international, the people that have, the international fans that were into Go Squids, like they kind of all knew when that happened, that casting change for quite a while. So a lot of people, it's like, I'm not even picking it up. A lot of people decided that, which is totally legit, like legit. So.
Yeah, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. No hate, no shame.
But it looks like everyone else is still the same cast, so whatever.
What I find funny is just like I just remember
female out.
I just remember get that ancient crone.
That old 30-year-old.
Yeah. I doubt that she was even that.
Oh yeah, the actress probably wasn't.
But like, I just remember all the hullabaloo when it was, you know, the original Go-Go Squid. Everyone's like, what inappropriate age gap, and I was like, 8 years for two consenting adults. So I'm just like waiting for that to come back. I'm waiting for the resurgence of that energy.
That's probably why they recast her, right? So that people aren't going to think about the age difference, because it was obvious in Go-Go Squid. Like, he seemed older. If she doesn't seem older anymore, then it's not a problem.
Right. So,
whatever.
It seems fine. I think a thing is also the gaming is, as far as episode 1, was robot battles.
Mm-hmm. It's like a completely different. I think the idea is that this is the thing he went to like college for or something.
BattleBots.
You know, right?
Yeah, and if you're not into BattleBots, it's like, okay. I mean, not so that I was way into the Go-Go Squid,
the gaming
whatever
Go-Go
security
Squid was,
stuff.
It was such a lame game to watch. Like,
it wasn't even a game. It was literally like cybersecurity hacking. There was no like game to watch. But I think what I always love about these shows, like the Go-Go Squid series, is how like they posit this world in which China is looked down upon as a technological power in the robotics and hacking world, which is not the case at all. So they'll be like, oh, like, they don't think that we can do it because we're the Chinese team. And you're like, who? Who doesn't think this? Like, this is a lie. Like, just made up. But
it's also so funny, like, how earnest the team always is. Like,
no,
you know, we're all wearing
China.
We're all wearing matching uniforms all the time, not just when we like battle or whatever, but like all the time.
Home, when you're going to like the store, like no matter what you're doing, you gotta rep for the team and for the glory of China. No, I was like watching it and my husband was sitting next to me and he was like, oh, this reminds me of that, you know, that show from back when I was in middle school with like the robots. And I was like, I didn't have a TV until college, so I was like, what? He's like, yeah, robots, you know, blow each other up and stuff. And I was like, what? Okay, sure. So apparently I missed out on like some cultural.
Yeah, you
iconic...
did.
Well, I didn't have a TV.
Well, also the like thing, like especially here, it was on PBS, so everybody had access to it, and so it was because it was like an initiative to get like kids into STEM, like and get into like robotics and science and get excited, and you'd build robots, and then there was like an arena that they would all go in, and the robots would fight each other. And then who was ever left standing can continue on. And it was like a huge thing because, I mean, you could see like 10-year-olds, you know, putting out their stuff. And you were like, oh, that's so cool. I could do that with my life. That's great. Build robots. Take over the world.
I missed out on that. Curse my parents. And they're living in the middle of nowhere with no television cable, so what was the point of even having a TV?
So aside from that, I mean, obviously I only watched the first episode or two of any of those, but I also watched a lot of K-pop stuff. I'm still even behind because the fact that Sunghyub from In Flying had to come back right before ATEEZ had their comeback. I'm not caught up with literally anything.
Lot going on.
So, and then Dreamcatcher, it was the end of Dreamcatchers with all that. So it's like, I'm just behind in general. Like, I'll watch a bit of King of the Masked Singer because like Sunghyub was on there. I already watched the first episode because he's on 2 episodes of it. First episode, he didn't say like one word. Because usually when you kind of have one of the short guests on those shows as the panel, like, especially if it's an idol, like, the Masked Singer people will show a talent later on after they did a little bit of singing, and it'll be like dancing or something. So then they'll be like, oh, hey, let's bring the idol panelist person up here to like dance with you. And it's obvious they have totally like practiced this together. Like always obvious. But didn't happen. So anyway, and also there's been a lot of Immortal songs that have been really cool too. And I've been watching those. I'm even behind on Master in the House. That's how behind I am on stuff. I want to say, for anyone that's like way into Penthouse, there were 2 episodes of Master in the House that are about Penthouse. The second episode has like the 3 main actresses from Penthouse, and it looks like they do some acting. Like, it looks really fun. I only saw the first episode. It was all about Eugene and her home life and stuff, which was pretty cool. It was also neat because they talked about her idol life, and during that, like, figured out like pretty much when she debuted was the year that Inwoo was born, and that was a really funny moment.
Oh, you hate to see it.
But then he turned around and was like super complimentary of her in a really nice way. And she's like, I just met you and I like you. I'm like, yes.
You were raised right.
That's how it usually is with him, though, isn't it? It's just like, everyone's like, oh, to know him is to like him.
Yeah, he's super polite. But even they were like, oh, and like, when did you like hear of SES? And he's like, after I debuted. Like, he's like, yeah, they're at the award shows, they'll always cover all of the like legendary, and he's like, and that's when I started seeing SES stuff. It's like, ooh, buddy, maybe I should have just lied with that one. But that's fine.
Ooh, that's rough. That's rough. You hate to see it. You hate to see it.
And then also, it's like Astro birthday month. I'm not caught up with any of that, which is fine. I probably won't. But, you know, I'll watch snippets of MJ dropping the cake literally 3 times.
Oh!
Like, maybe stop tilting the plate vertically.
Right? Like, maybe get the person to lift the camera instead of tilting it so
they could invent a camera that could move. What?
But I mean, I'm sure it's just going to be something that will... Huh?
No, I was just saying to Amanda, stop talking crazy.
Oh. I think that'll follow him for a long time, because you cut the cake, it immediately drops. Lift it up, it drops. Lift the rest of the cake, it drops. It's like, buddy. And he would just laugh the whole time. Like,
it always happens.
No more cake for you.
It will stay with them forever. You'll always see it in gift form for everybody's birthday. That's how Junho feels with his cake incident. It's always there.
I think, and there was one. This wasn't even like a K-pop incident, but this was another cake related. It was a Chinese actor who he was on the Untamed, and this was during like when he was in Wuhan when it was all closed down, and it was his birthday, so he was on like a live chat, and he was showing off his cake, and he leaned back in his chair, and the chair fell, and then so he disappears out of frame, and then he sits back up, and there's just cake just entire like all over his face, and he's just sitting there like laughing, just laughing hysterically with just cake covering. It's so funny. It was so good. I love those moments. I love
the clip where Sungkyo and the rest of Infine, they were on a radio show with the Acmu girl, and like they gave him this really nice birthday cake, and he was like so surprised, and he was holding it just fine until all of a sudden he wasn't holding it just fine, and it fell to the floor. And he the look of shock, and then, you know, he's looking at the people that obviously were very thoughtful about giving him this. He's just like,
oh my god,
oops. So anyway, if you're ever feeling down, just go look up like K-pop people and cake.
Yes.
It's always good. It's always good. Like, it's never not funny.
Even if it's just them enjoying cake, it's nice to see them happy and eating. So like there's no downside.
It's like that video that came out. It was during, I think, when Obsession came out, like EXO's Obsession came out, and there was like the cake on their V Live, and Daniel is cutting it, and then he just picks like an entire slice of cake on the knife and sticks the whole thing in his mouth. But at the time, like, everyone else is talking, and he's just kind of like working this piece of cake into his mouth, and you're just like, buddy, you're gonna choke. It's always good. It's like there's always something enjoyable to see with cake.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I get so amazed with just the amount of content that K-pop generates within just a week of if they're on a promotion cycle. Like Dreamcatcher, like this, you know, the things that would roll out for them with all the different types of special stages and stuff. And or even it'll just be a little clip of, because I think it's M Countdown. I want to say it's M Countdown. They do a side section where it's like all the groups do a cover of some like legendary song. And so it's just, and usually they're just really funny about it. And Dreamcatcher does not care.
They're extra. They're extra.
They do not care, and they
it.
also know every song in the entire world. So they are there to win it.
Yep. And they're hilarious. So, and it'll always cut from all the different groups and stuff. But so every week, that's fun to watch.
Yeah, and they'll also post like full behind the scenes of it too. So it's like double the amount. Yeah, it's hard. Don't ever get into K-pop, people.
Don't do
it.
But
it is a trap.
But once you do, you need to realize, like, you will just be behind. You will not find the end of the content, and that's okay.
There's
you
no
don't
Unless
do that
you're
to
like
yourself.
a single like a solo stand. If you only have one group and you're completely focused, maybe you can
I
stand.
think that's like a maybe, but I would actually say maybe if you like kept up with everything. I don't think it's healthy. I'm older than you, like person that's doing this. I don't think it's healthy for you to consume that much and not do something else.
Yeah,
So
like
maybe
get other hobbies too.
you know.
I think it's very important. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Look at
reading
the
a thing
screen all the
today,
time,
and
won't
that was
burn
like
through your eyes.
a whole thread on Twitter somebody had, and it was about just fandom in general. And they were like, if you think about the idea of that person committing a crime and it's sending you into a spiral, it's time to take a step back from your fandom. If this, it's time to take a step back. If this, and it's like, like you have to. Your fandom can't be your whole life, because if it's your whole life, you've got a problem, because
that's not healthy.
Guaranteed something's going to go wrong. Somebody's going to do something, or something's going to happen, or they're going to break up. The band's going to break up. And then what do you have in your life? Like, you just variety. Just take a walk, go outside once in a while, touch the grass, read a book, talk to people you know in real life, as well as the people in your fandom. Take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Yep. I know, even for myself, definitely at the beginning of really getting into K-pop and stuff, like there were moments that, and it's probably because I am over 30, I know how to reevaluate stuff. You know, like if you kind of see a habit forming that's like, I might be overdoing this. And then you think about it a bit and you're like, yep, I'm overdoing this. Yeah. Like, and I need to maybe do something else for a while and come back to it later, you know?
Yeah.
And that's healthy. That's totally healthy.
And that can even be true with dramas. Like, you know, it's funny that we all like laugh about binging and stuff. But that too, like, just be careful. Like, if you feel overly involved in something, you probably, like, if you're questioning it, maybe you are, type thing.
Yeah.
That's fine. And don't feel like a failure for that. It's fine. Because that's, with the internet, and especially like the current moment in time we're living in, I think it would be really easy to slide into that type of thing. So yeah. And reach out to friends or whatever if you need.
But also, if anybody is making you feel that way, dump them immediately. Don't give them even a second chance. Just go.
They're toxic.
Like,
get out.
You don't need to be friends with everybody. You don't need to like everybody. Just push out like negative people for your sake.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And let them figure it out themselves too. You do not have to be the savior for someone else as well. Like, it's understandable if it's like a loved one, but even then, do not
Even
feel
then.
like you are a
Yeah.
bad person for stepping away and being like, I have to like focus on myself, and it can't involve
Mm-hmm.
helping you.
Right.
And don't be afraid to like block people on social media and stuff. It doesn't have to be because they're like horrible human beings. It could just be because they're bringing a negativity you don't need. So
Yeah, they're
Just
not vibing with your current
It's-
reality. Move
you're not
on.
putting them in jail. You're not canceling them. You're just choosing to spend your time on things that you can handle, and that's okay.
Listen, man,
Right.
we've all blocked people that we followed before. We've all unfollowed people. It's fine. It's okay. It's not the end of the world.
Man, I remember being new to Twitter and thinking it was like I would hurt people's people I hadn't even interacted with
Mhm.
ever before.
Yeah.
That's the problem
You
with
know.
them when you first get into it, because you actually
Mhm.
have to follow a lot of people, or
Yeah.
you're just not going to find people.
Right.
And then
Yeah,
it
like,
becomes
when
a thing. You're like, oh gosh, I'm in a
Yeah,
sticky
and then sometimes
situation.
you just don't know someone's vibes at first, and then you realize like, oh, your vibe is definitely not what I am looking for right now, and that's cool. Just unfollow and move on. That's what we've been watching. So that was much more extensive than I was expecting. Like, ooh, we really got into it today. And as always, we devolved into helpful old lady advice.
Sorry, I think I'm the one that started sidestepping into
No. Like, listen, that's kind of what we do. Because that's kind of the vibe we go for here at the Noonas. Like, we want to be your helpful older sisters to help you navigate through the world, but in a fun way. Having a good old time and picking the quality shows that, the music that we want you to listen to. Anyway, on Wednesday this week, there's going to be an extra little episode about what we're listening to. We're trying splitting it up for the first time. So, hopefully you will tune in for that. But this has been the Certified Noonas, your sisters in love of Asian entertainment. You can listen to us wherever podcasts are found. But if you want all the links to everything and all the time codes and stuff, you can find that on our website, certifiednoonas.com. Our socials and everything are always at Certified Noonas, one word, and we love hearing from people. So please just, send us a message, send us a tweet. We love it. Check out our Instagram if you're into the K-pop world. That's it's very K-pop terrific. K-pop-tastic. That's the word I was going for.
K-pop-rific.
K-pop-rific. If you want to become a supporter of this podcast and become an official member of the Certified Fan Family, you can go to ko-fi.com/certifiednoonas to do that. We love all of our supporters. They are the best. They keep the lights on, as it were. And we just think that they are the tops, but there's no pressure, we get it. So even if you know someone who might want to listen to this podcast, send them a link. That would be super helpful. Anyway, we hope you have a fantastic week, and we'll see you back here on Wednesday for a little music episode. So anyway, have a fantastic week. Bye.
Bye.